Good morning. Today we're learning about how do we evaluate expressions. This is the third day, so by now we're going to make it a little bit harder. The language objective for the day is I can explain how to evaluate expressions. Objetivo. ¿Cómo se evalúan expresiones? Objetivo del lenguaje. Puedo explicar cómo se evalúan expresiones. Open your math packet to page 17. Question 1. Evaluate the following expressions using the given values. Here are the expressions, here are the values. The first step is always to circle the numbers. Then we're going to draw an arrow from the number to its letter. -3 has what letter? Y. Draw an arrow to Y. I'm going to use a different color for 7. Circle the other number. What's the letter we're drawing the arrow to? Z. Now we're going to substitute those values. 7 and -3. Copy the rest of the expression. Minus parentheses divided by 3 minus 1 parentheses. Now we're going to follow order of operations. That's PEMDAS. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. From left to right, left to right. So start with P for parentheses. We have a group of parentheses here. So we're starting with these operations first, before the minus. So first comes one of these, division or subtraction. Division comes before subtraction. So division first. -3 divided by 3. -1. Bring down the rest of the expression. Copy. 7, copy minus, copy parentheses, copy the minus, copy the 1, copy the parentheses. We're still working within the parentheses first. -1 minus 1. -2. Bring down the 7, bring down the minus. 7 minus -2. What do we do with minus a negative? Plus a positive. Double negative cancels out. It's a positive. And 7 plus 2. 9. Some of you might be having trouble with adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. How can we think of -1 minus 1? I like to think of money. The negative means you owe somebody money. You're in debt. Minus also means you're in debt. What is the total amount of debt? 2. You owe somebody $1, you owe somebody else $1. In general, you're down $2. That's bad. En español, eso es que cuando tenemos una suma de números positivos y negativos o una resta, es necesario pensar en dinero, que cada menos indica un débito de dinero, que debes $1, debes otro $, en total debes ¿cuánto? $2. Las reglas técnicamente que son que estás sumando el total del débito, 1 más 1 son 2, y es negativo porque todavía es débito. Por eso sacamos -2 para esa respuesta. También quisiera repasar esta parte de aquí. 7 menos -2. Cada vez que estamos restando débito, un doble menos, si estoy restando mi débito, eso es una cosa técnicamente que es bueno. Es bueno restar mi débito de mi vida, restar cosas negativas. Y ya estoy en positivo. Eso es como voy a explicar que menos menos se convierte siempre en más más. Menos menos lo cambio para más más. Now let's do the following problem. This question says 2x plus 7 over x minus 3 when x equals -33.6. What do I do first? Circle the number. What's the number? -33.6. Now what do I do? Draw an arrow. Where do I draw the arrow to? What letter? X. Draw the arrow to both x's. Every single x gets this arrow. Copy the rest of the expression. Here, it's going to make a difference whether we put parentheses or not. We need parentheses because it's two x's, two groups of x's. En español, eso es que aquí es bien necesario poner los paréntesis en el -33.6 porque eso es diferente que solamente 2 menos ese número, que no estamos restando 33, estamos multiplicando 2 multiplicado por -33, 2 veces la x, 2 veces 33, que son al lado, el 2 y la x están al lado. Eso significa que hay un punto invisible acá. 2 multiplicado, un punto de multiplicación, 2 multiplicado por x. Por eso yo voy a bajar el 2 y es muy importante que estamos multiplicando. Esto no es una resta. Que en el problema, en la expresión, teníamos multiplicación antes. Aquí en el problema abajo teníamos resta. Esto es menos, pero esto indica multiplicación. Es importante por eso que ponemos los paréntesis. Ahora vamos a hacer PEMDAS, que no hay nada que hacer. Adentro de los paréntesis se salta la P y después la E, no hay exponentes. M, D. Multiplicación, división, izquierda a derecha. Entonces, multiplicación tenemos 2 multiplicado por -33.6. In English, 2 times -33.6. I'm going to do that in the calculator. Two times negative, that's the plus and then minus on the phone. 2 times negative 33.6. 67.2, and it's negative still. So we have negative 67.2. And we're going to copy the rest of the expression. Now we're going to simplify the top. We have a plus, and we're simplifying the bottom. So do this, the top, and then do the bottom separately. So negative 67.2 plus 7 should give us negative 60.2. So I'm going to explain this in Spanish. ¿Por qué sacamos 60 si estamos sumando 7? Debe ser más que eso, ¿no? Pues aquí estamos trabajando con un débito de $67, ¿no? Y 20 centavos. Pero de ahí ganamos 7, eso es bueno. Entonces tenemos lo bueno digo, y lo malo. Estamos restando lo bueno de lo malo. Por eso tenemos menos débito que antes. Empecemos con 67 en débito, paguemos $7 de ese débito y ya nos queda menos débito que antes. Y todavía vamos a pensar en dinero cuando estamos resolviendo lo de abajo también. Negativo 33.6 menos 3. Ok, una pregunta. ¿Este número es una ganancia de dinero o un débito? Un débito, porque tiene menos. ¿Este número es una ganancia o un débito? Otro débito. Aquí tenemos un total de débito, que estamos sumando los dos números y colocando el menos después. Entonces, si estamos sumando los números, tenemos 36.6 y colocamos el menos porque es débito. Okay, in English, negative 33.6 minus 3 is negative 36.6. When we divide these numbers in the calculator, we get a big decimal, a long decimal, many different digits. Now, that's when I like to look at the instructions and see if they wanted us to leave our answer as a fraction or if we should put it as a decimal to how many places or round. So let's zoom out a little bit here. Let's read the directions one more time just to double check. Evaluate using the given values. I don't see anything about a fraction answer or a decimal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write just one decimal place after the point. So let's zoom in here. Just the tenths. I'm going to round my answer. So again, when we put in negative divided by negative in the calculator, it gets positive because negatives cancel. And we're left with 1.64480,874. That's a long number. I don't want to write all that. Technically, we are allowed to write approximately, more or less, about 1.6. Because it's about 1.6. Because the 4 is 4 or lower. So it keeps the 6 the same. That's how we round. And I'm going to put a box around that because that's my final answer. Now on to the next question. Letter C. If C is equal to square root a squared plus b squared, find the value of C to the nearest tenth. So find the answer, the number for C that we're going to get after we substitute. To the nearest tenth. Finally, they tell us what to do. Nearest tenth, that's what we just did. We rounded. If A equals 116 and B equals 48. First step, circle the number. 116 is the value of what letter? A. Draw an arrow to A. Circle what number? 48. 48 is the value of what letter? B. Put it in for B. Copy everything else. Square root something squared plus something else squared. Okay, in for those letters, let's substitute those values. 116 and 48. You can put parentheses if you want, but it wouldn't change it. So 116 squared. Oh my goodness, that's a big number. 116 squared. Exponents come before addition. That's why I'm doing the 116 squared first and the 48 squared first. 116 times 116. Ooh, big number. So it's still in the square root. Make it a little longer this time. 13, 4, 5, 6. Copy the plus. Still doing E for exponents in the PEMDAS. So 48 squared means 48 times itself, 48. Ooh, that's a big number too. Big numbers. 2304. Now we're going to continue PEMDAS. We already did exponents. There were no parentheses, so we didn't need to do that. M, multiplication, division, nope, none of that. AS, addition, subtraction. Addition, is there addition? Yes, there is. Okay, addition. So we're going to add those two numbers. So plus 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 equals square root of 15760. Now we're going to take the square root of that number and we should get 125 point nearest tenth. 125.5 because the 3 does not change the 5. The 3 that comes after the 5 does not change it. It keeps it the same. That's how we round. And that's our final answer for C. C equals 125.5. And if you want, you could put C equals. It's not necessary, but they were asking what C is. C is 125.5. Question number 2 says, To calculate the radius of the base of a right circular cone, we can use the formula r equals square root 3v over pi h, comma, where v represents the volume of the cone and h represents the height of the cone. Find the value of r if v equals 75 and h equals 4. Give your answer to the nearest tenth. Always follow the same steps. What's the first step? That's right, circle the number, circle the value. So we're going to circle what number? 75. And we're going to draw an arrow to that letter, to that variable. What's the variable? V. Draw an arrow to V. We have another number that we need to circle. 4. Draw an arrow to that variable. I'm going to speak in Spanish for 1 second. Quisiera hablar en español para explicar que esa cosa aquí, esta cosa es una coma. Yo tenía unas dificultades cuando estaba leyendo esto y yo veí que tenemos PH algo. Pensaba que era apóstrofe o algo así, pero es una coma. No está incluida en el resto de la expresión. Entonces no se preocupan de la coma, solamente es parte de la frase, de las palabras, no es parte de la expresión de las matemáticas. Okay, back to English. Let's get this situated here. Okay. So now we are going to copy the entire equation. I'm going to copy all of this time. I'm going to also copy the r equals. So we have r equals square root 3 times v. It's next to it, so it means multiplication. 3 times v. What number is v? 75. And you could put parentheses if you want. Over pi times h. So pi is a number. It's 3.14, more or less. It's about 3. So we got pi times h. What do we say h was? 4. And it's next to each other. They're next to each other. So that's why it's multiplication. There's a multiplication dot in there too. Dot. Next to the pi times h. Let me just fix these colors really quick. Okay, step 1, circle and draw arrows. Step 2, PEMDAS. Parentheses, nothing to do inside the parentheses. E, exponents, nope. M, multiplication. We have multiplication on top and multiplication on the bottom. So let's multiply 3 times 75. And that should be 225. 3 times 75 in the calculator, 225. So we're going to zoom in here. And we're going to write r equals square root. On the top we have 225. And then on the bottom we have pi times 4. Pi is a button in your calculator. So find the pi button, type it, and click multiplied by 4. Pi times 4. We get this big long number. It's important that you round only at the end. In Spanish, es importante que ustedes están redondeando al décimo más cercano al final, porque si están redondeando en cada paso, eventualmente es posible que vamos a tener un dígito diferente que la respuesta correcta. Entonces, para resumir, es importante que están redondeando solamente al final, pero al principio es importante escribir todos esos dígitos, o muchos de ellos, más que solamente uno. Entonces, en vez de escribir solamente 12.5 que está en mi calculadora, yo voy a poner 12.56637. Okay, now we're going to divide these two numbers because they're within the square root. The square root is square rooting not just the top, not just the bottom, but everything. So that's why we have to divide first. Zoom out. Give ourselves a little more space here. I'm going to quickly erase that right there. And equals, so what's this equal to? Let's see. 225 divided by 12.56637. Enter. So give the square root and 17.904932. Now we're going to take the square root and that should be 4.2314219. It's a long number. But what we're going to do is write 4 point, and we have to round to what? Nearest tenths. So the nearest tenths is going to be the first number after the point. So that's the 2. So is it a 2 closer to 20 or closer to 30? 23 is closer to 20. 4.2. Lo siento por el video tan largo, pero espero que han aprendido mucho hoy. Have a great day. Bye.